it's really simple what we're going to do right now. The speaker will pop off. You use the pry tool to get that off. And what you do is you just run the pry tool. What I'm doing is I'm just doing this very gently. Just trying to get the clips to pop up. Nothing's broken. Now in my case, this wasn't the first time that speaker had been off. So I just want to make sure that I didn't damage the dash when I did that. And if I did, what can I do at this point? Now at this point, the other thing, this was number one. This is the first item you need your pry tool for. Item number two is this piece right here. Now if you'll notice, I've already got it off. The reason why I already got it off is because I actually broke one of the clips in this piece when I took it off, right? This is one of two pieces that I damaged. Now, what you'll have to do is you'll have to take your pry tool and just get up under this part and wedge it out. There's going to be a lot of tension on this side when you do that, but you just have to hold it out, take your pry tool, wedge this side out, and at that point it'll come up over the clip. Now it won't pop out like that. What's going to happen is you're going to have to pull it out, and as you're pulling it out, you're going to have to stick the pry tool in on one side or the other and push it on the clip. In all the videos that I saw, people were trying to push in back here, which had me thinking that there was a clip that pushed in on the back side. That is not the case. If you notice, here are the clips right here that are holding it in. They're in these two spots. And as you notice, you press it in. Now you will see that I Gorilla Glued this one back on. It was partially broke because when I pulled it up, I tried to pull it up this way while pressing it on the back side. That did not work, but it should have worked, to be honest with you, because the way, I don't know if you can see this, I'll try to get as close as I can there, but if you can see this, the way that they have the snap on this clip designed is that it gets shallower on that side. So in theory, if you're pulling up and you're pushing in on the clip just a little bit, it should give way on one side and then the other side. Just so you know, just be careful with these clips, because if you look at any of the other videos online, what you will see is that you will see that one of these clips is missing when you look at it closely. I didn't notice it the first time I looked at those videos, but after I broke mine, I went back and looked at theirs, and the clip had already been broken off. Or either they broke it off when they pulled it up and they just didn't know, or they warned you in some other language that you probably don't speak, that to be careful when you're pulling this one off. It'll still, even if you break a clip, it'll still go back in there and it'll still work, because what happens is it just pushes down on that part right there to release the doors. That's all it is. The whole car is freaking plastic, pretty much. So I'm going to put this to the side because I don't need it anymore. The next time I put that on will be the last time I take this off, because I don't want to put any undue stress on my clips anymore. All right. So the next thing you will do, now that you got this off, is I want you to notice something. Think about it, foreshadow it, what you want to do. You don't do it this way, but I just want you to know there's two screws that hold the radio in place here, one right here and one right here. There are two screws right here. These two screws hold the dash in place, and that's it. The sets of screws don't have anything to do with each other, just so you know. Now, for my purposes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two screws out first, remove the command unit, unplug it, put it off to the side so that I'm done with it. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to remove these two screws, right? Finding these suckers is a challenge. This is no longer needed for anything. Now, this one comes apart right here. So now, guys, I just want you to know, you're going to reuse these screws. You just want to take them out, and where they're going to fit is they're going to fit in the exact same place in the bracket for the new unit. So let's go ahead and take those out now and put them in place. So guys, what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to think ahead because I'm always looking for hot wires, and I just noticed that this might be a hot wire that I can use at some future date to tap into. So what I'm doing is I'm going to take this, since it's not used anymore, and I'm going to route it up through this hole and just tape it to the side here. Hopefully this works out to where I can still put the clips in there without breaking anything. Because I can tell you right now, the GPS will go through this right here. I'm not drilling any new holes. So I'm going to sit the GPS down in here and route it through here. See how that works out for me. All right, guys. So far, everything's been going pretty smooth. We got our display out, everything to the side. I'm going to take this. Can you see it? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to route it there just to get it out of the way until I get my cables routed. The reason why I did this is so that when I'm routing my cables, at some point I'm going to want to go back to stock when I sell this car, unless I get I sell it private sale and I get my money back for the unit in that sale. Regardless of the case, I don't want this to get tangled up with the other wires. I had that problem pulling it out when I put everything back to stock, and I learned from my lesson, and I'm passing on that lesson to you. So I just put this to the side until I get my cables run. Then once I get my cables run, I'll pull it from the side, and hopefully it will not be tangled up with the others. If I remember to do this when I unplug it, I'll put it back to the side and then pull my cables out nice and neatly without any other drama that I had before. So now that I got everything done here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove these two screws right here. These are T15s as well. So the good thing about these is that they're accessible. So as you can see, all I'm going to do is just take these out really quickly. There's nothing to it when you got an impact wrench, especially when you're trying to save time. What I'm going to do is, since this is not moving, I'm going to put these two screws in here. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, what you're going to do is, to pull this off, you start by lifting up in the center and then pulling back. It's really simple. Now, did you see that? I just lift it up, and now that it's off, I'm going to pull it back and I'm going to flip it over. Now, in the other videos, they unplug some cables here. I'm not going to worry about that. I've done this so many times now. I don't need to unplug any cables. Just going to be very careful. Pull the cables out as far as I can. Keep this as tight to the dash as possible. And if you have some books or something to sit this on, just so it doesn't go all the way down to the floor, I would do that personally. That's what I did. It's actually sitting on this box, but that works for me. Okay, so now all we got to do is take out the control unit, the CD player, and then swap out the cables, run the cables through the dash. So first things first, this is the cable that will plug into here. Now, there's one thing that you have to do that I didn't know about when I originally did it. Wondering why I didn't have audio for my OEM display, right? On my command modules, I had them showing up. First mistake was this wasn't plugged in all the way. Got that plugged in all the way, and I got my OEM functionality back into my new display. The next problem was I didn't have any audio. The reason why I didn't have any audio is because you have to take the fiber optic jacks out of the OEM connector and plug it into here, same location. And I'm going to show you that right now. So let's go ahead and pull this out. Again, you have two T15 star screws. That's all she wrote. Now this will just pulled it out too far. I don't want to lose either one of those screws. There we go. So I'm just gonna pull this back. This comes out. It's just that simple. Okay. Now I'm gonna sit it right there. Check this out. See this little clip right here? It pinches in right here. As you pull it back or push it back, it pops out, right? Clip it in, and then just push it back. And then just pull it out. And that's all she wrote. Now, what I didn't do before is, if you see in there, if you look in here, these are the two fiber optic connections right here. Crazy, right? I didn't notice those before, and I missed them. So that's these two right here. It actually snaps out. What you do is to get it out, there's a clip right here. You see how that pushes back? Right there. You push that clip in, and then you can pull this out. That's it. This is a fiber optic connection that connects right there. And before we get to that too, I want to show you something else that I found. On this unit in my 2015 C400, there is an aux port right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a Mercedes Benz dealership and see if I can find this plug to activate this outlet. I don't know if it's possible, but this is the aux connection, and this right here says TV, which I guess you can buy a TV antenna for the car too and hook this up. But I don't need that anymore because I can just download my Comcast app and just do that on the new screen, so I don't really care about that. So if you'll notice, this one has the same two missing ports now. So what happens is this one plugs right in here. See how it fits? That's a little clip. That little clip's gonna go right there, and that's it. So now you're all set to go. So stage one will be just to line up the fiber optic cable. Make sure this is pulled out like so. Then what you're gonna do is you're just gonna line it up. That's it, it's in. So what you wanna do is you just wanna make sure, since I pulled on everything, I'm gonna push everything in extra tight, snug, because I don't wanna pull this thing apart anymore until I find out if I'm getting that aux cable. So I'm just gonna make sure everything's snapped in, nice and secure, because I'm not taking this thing apart again. All right, so that's stage one of the bypass. The next stage is just to take the original OEM connector and plug it in, and it fits in the same way. What you wanna do is you wanna make sure this is out, and you just wanna plug it in. Just snap it in. It's just that simple. I just wanna make sure all the plugs and cables are in place since I've taken this apart a few times. This is just me making sure everything's okay. And that's pretty much it for that stage of it. So now that that's out of the way, the next part of this puzzle is routing cables. All right. So now this is the aux cable hookup or the Bluetooth adapter connection point here. Aux or Bluetooth, you have your left and your right connections. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and connect these. This is very important. If you don't connect these, you won't have audio, right? So they're going to connect onto this wire harness like this. Real simple. And I just want to connect those now before I start running cable because I want to pull this up through there all together. Now I can focus on pulling cable. First step is to get it behind here. So what I'm doing now is I'm just wrapping this around the cable as best as I can because it's a very tight space here. And I guess I could pull it out. So what I'm doing is I'm just wrapping this RCA puller around the cable so that hopefully it stays in place. Now I'm just going to try my best to pull this thing back through here. Try. So I just pulled it to this point right here. Now I'm gonna snake it through here. Notice how this is moving. Don't want it to move too much. Just want to be careful at how much pressure you put on this thing. What I'm trying to do right now is just pull it through here so that I can pull the cables up as far as I can. See how it's fit there? So now I'm just gonna pull the cables out. This is step 1. Step 2 will be me mounting it back in here and coming out through right here. But this is just how I'm getting my cables in place, and it's also how I'm making sure everything's still hooked up. We really don't have a lot to work with here. All right, there's a little box that's connected here that I want to make sure was up behind there before I continued on. Just checking my cables to make sure everything's still plugged in okay. Now, step number 2 is to go from here to there without breaking anything. Guys, you have to be very careful because, I mean, this is just all plastic. You know what, I'm just going to take this off. I think I may be able to just thread it through without this. So, because I can feel it right here. Let's see. Haha! Eureka! Okay. So now I just need to push wires through here. What are you caught on? What are you caught on back there? Booyah! Okay. So that's this complete harness is in place now. This is about as far as I'm going to get. That's more slack than I had before because I ran the wires a little bit better this time, and I was able to get as much of it as I could back up behind here. So that worked out really nice. Before it was like right here. That's all the play I had. So now I just want to make sure that the red and the black wire here are concealed. I'm going to show you guys, I found a spot for these things. I'm going to show you where I put it at just so I can have access to it in the future in case anything should happen. Okay, so that's that. Next step is this bad boy. So again, we're only using 2 wires out of the entire mix. So the good thing about this one is I only have to fish this USB cable down through there, and this is for the Apple CarPlay. So let's do that really quickly. Going in the opposite direction should be a lot easier, right? You would think. But again, I don't want everything to get tangled up. So maybe I should try to go down this side. Is that even possible? Eureka! Okay. So, even though I think that this is more like this and this, as far as sides for the power, I may have done it backwards, but it was easier for me to do. I think these are going to actually connect like this, but it doesn't matter. As long as one is going down one side, one's going down the other. Inside here, I don't personally care. If you care about that, then make sure you get it right, but I'm not going to stress it. I'm just going to try to get this done. Booyah. So we got our Apple CarPlay connector there, USB port, and then we also have our hard drive port for a little portable USB drive, which I have one that I'm going to format and just leave it in place. This one right here. I'm going to format this one and just leave it in place. So now let me show you my little spots that I have for these things. Got lottery tickets everywhere. This is one of my lottery tickets for this week. Notice the date. Can you see the date? Notice the date. $2 bought on the 1st. So right here is where I'm going to stick one of my cables out. It'll actually be this cable right here. Let's see if I can do that. No drilling required. So what will happen is I'll be able to plug in. This is the Apple CarPlay one. So what I'll do is I'll stick the USB one right here and just have it sitting like that. And you won't even notice it. And I'll just be able to plug a hard drive in here. Just make sure I don't push it back in there once I put it in there. gonna have to have a way to maybe a string tied to it or something, so I can pull it out, make the connection, and be done with it. But nobody should notice it if it's right there. Maybe I can come down and put it in here. Really, nobody will notice that. But it looks kind of weird, right? So we're gonna just hide it like that. And we'll have the USB drive. We'll be able to plug and offload stuff directly into it by plugging this in there, just sliding it back whenever we need to do updates or anything. I think that that's a good idea. It's a solid idea. Same thing with the Bluetooth adapter. Just in case I ever have to reset it, you can do this on either side. So just in case I ever have to reset it, this will also be right there. Nobody will ever know it's there. The wires will be, of course, on the other side, you know? You know what I'm saying? The wires will be on the back side of this, so you won't see those at all. But that's the intent of what I'm gonna do. Again, no drilling required. This is just stuff that I worked out on my own. I haven't seen this in anybody else's videos. These are just my solutions to help you guys do this a little bit easier. So let's go ahead and wrap up this install because I'm basically done at this point. So now that I got these in place, right, I'm gonna go ahead and put my GPS wire cable in place. Now I could route this through the dash and stick this up under here, but I'm just not. No, you could take the time and route this wire through the dash out to the pillar over there, up the pillar, and stuff it back up in here, just like I did for the AutoVox GPS right over here. But I'm not gonna do that. I don't have time to do it. I'm not gonna do that right now. There's no need for me to do that. And this should be the last GPS antenna that I need, period. I'm just gonna stick it there. That's it. There's a crevice right here. Show you. I'm just gonna stick this right down in there. This little crevice should come in handy. I'm also gonna, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna route this wire through here. That's it. So that's my GPS antenna right there. Now, since I am gonna do the 4G and the 3G antennas, this is weird, but I'm gonna also try to stick these in here as well. This will give us a 4G and a 3G signal capabilities in the future. Again, I just don't want to take anything apart again after I'm done with this. If I do, it'll be just to route these cables right here. So I'm gonna just try to stick these down here as far as I can. Put one on each side. Here's what I did. Got one on one side, one on the other, and a GPS in the middle. Hopefully that works. And then what we'll do is, it's gonna be a mess of wire through there. What I want to happen is I want the GPS on top of all the wires so that there's no interference, you know what I mean? So I'm going to put the GPS on top of these. I'm just going to stick them down as far as I can. One on each side. And then we'll put the GPS in the middle. So now I have all these wires. What am I going to do with them? So apparently there's a little space here for these wires to fit up under here. So what I'm going to do is see if I can group these together. Okay, so we are pretty much just about done with this. There's not much left to do here. We just got to make a few connections. First thing we're going to do is we have our Bluetooth adapter. Going to just plug it in. This is hooked up to the left and the right cables here. This is the power for that. Let me untangle this really quickly. All this will be stuffed under here. I'm not going to do much cable management here. I'm just trying to get this done. It's hot out here, guys. I'm soaking wet. I just want to make sure that nothing's tangled up. All right, so this just plugs in like so. So that's plugged in. This is connected now. It's just waiting for power. Next will be, so again, this is the one that I'm going to use for my hard drive. It has a little arrow right here. The one I'm using for the Apple CarPlay is the one that has the USB symbol, and it clearly says on the back of it, Universal Serial Port, USB. So that's what I'm doing for the Apple CarPlay, and let me go ahead and plug that in right now, as a matter of fact. So let me go ahead, and this is the Apple CarPlay module, adapter, whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to plug it in. I'm going to show you where this is going to go later, but I want to go ahead and make the connection and conceal this back behind the radio. If you notice, there's like a little opening right there. That's why I'm pushing as much stuff as I can. So this is an extra long cable. It's like 6 foot, more than enough for me. So this one is done. I should never have to access it again. Let me make sure it's not tangled up with anything. Okay, and this is my connector for my iPhone. All right, so I'm just going to take this and I'm going to stick it all the way back there. I have another USB port. I'm going to show you where I'm going to put that at really quickly so that it's out of the way as well. There we go. Completely out of the way. I know you can see it way back there. So it's way back there. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to find a spot in here. You can see how this kind of fits together. This cable right here, I'm just going to route through here, just so that it's out of the way of this command unit. What a mess. Okay. Bluetooth adapter right there, and everything's plugged up. Okay, so pretty much it's pretty much everything, right? What I'm doing is I'm sticking all these excess wires back to the back, making sure everything's plugged up one final time, because I think that's everything. We got Bluetooth connectivity hooked up. We got our audio cables hooked up okay. We got power to the Bluetooth adapter. We have a connection port over here for the USB. We got our Apple CarPlay plugged in and ready to go in the back there. I think that's it. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I'm missing here, but I'm not. Let me look at the cables just to make sure that there's nothing else. I don't want to take this thing off again, period. Like I said, I don't know what to do with this speaker, so I'm not going to plug it up. It's going to be one of 2 accessories that they sent me that I did not use. Then I'm done with this, basically. Yeah, I think that's it. So now, let me button this back up. Hopefully everything goes back in without a problem. There are a lot of cables back there now. And I can just feel all those cables. What I want to do is I just want to make sure that all the cables are fitting back into that crevice. Now, I don't know if this crevice is for airflow, but I am definitely blocking that sucker. If it is for airflow, we might have a problem. But air should still be able to get through there. Booyah. That's it, guys. Oh my God. So the only cable that I have coming out to the front is the Apple CarPlay, and it's going to go into my armrest. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. That's it. Woohoo! So now, the only thing we have left to do is to put together our bracket, bolt it in, make sure that we got the cables that we need. So now, make sure I got my cables on the right side. So we have the large one, like I said, on this side, smaller one on this side, and then we should be good to go. Okay, let's knock the rest of this out really quickly. So this will plug into this. You want to make sure that this is tight. Like I said at the beginning of this video, if this is not tight, then you won't have any OEM functions on your new unit. So that means you won't have radio, you won't have any of the car adjustability functions. Like for instance, I have an air freshener unit in this car. I wouldn't be able to access that if this is not plugged in. You won't have any functionality, okay? So that's plugged in. So now all that's left for us to do is just make sure that the wires will all fit nice and snug through here. Booyah. Okay. I'm going to bring these through this side. So now my problem is cable management. Hopefully this video helped you guys out, especially if you had questions about how to do this install. I'm still not done yet. Some of this stuff is brand new for me. Right now, let's just see if this is going to work out the way I anticipate it working out. So, gold cable is GPS. That's going to go right here. And I don't think it matters which one of these antennas get hooked up to either one of these inputs. So you want to be very careful with the screen again. What you hear clicking is me almost getting on the slide and then it popping off. I think that's it. Oh my God. That's pretty close. First time firing it up. Let's see if it works. I need to see what's happening to make sure I'm not. It says AMG right now, but I'm going to change that. Don't worry, guys.